Thanks for joining us at the table. As you can see tonight, I got Ian Thornton with me again.
Good evening.
It's been a long time since you've been on the show.
It has.
We were just talking about
Yeah.
it. January 22nd was the last time he was on Season 2, Episode 3. And this is Season 3, Episode 16. So it's been a while. But I'm glad to have you back tonight.
It's great to be back. It really is.
Here we are in the church.
I know, right?
It's early January 2021.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No Super Bowl yet, so we can't talk about who won the Super Bowl.
No, we can't.
But I hope the Browns win, but I know it's not going to happen. But anyway, thanks for joining us tonight. We just wanted to kind of get together and talk a little bit again. It's been a while, and a lot's changed in the last year since you and I talked.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
I was driving out here tonight.
I'm concerned about being together again.
I was driving here and I saw a sign the state of Ohio had put up. It said, "New Year, same virus. Mask up, Ohio."
There we go.
That's good because, everybody thinks, 2020's over, the virus is gone. No, that's not the way it works.
No, it isn't.
It's just another, you start the calendar year all over again, but some of the same problems are still there.
Yeah, that's right.
But I do believe great things are coming. I really do. And I believe that in this coming year, people are going to have a lot of choices to make.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about that tonight, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
One thing that's really been on my mind, and we really don't have time to go through it in detail tonight, but maybe sometime if we have a Bible study, the book of Romans. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
It's one of my favorite books to study, and I'm not trying to say we should do that, but if we need something, it's one of my favorite books because there's just so much there, and if you really take time to read what Paul is really trying to say, he's just trying to lead people to Christ and show them how devastating sin can be, how we're not really punished for our sins because Jesus took the punishment.
Yeah.
But he wants us to know that sin is devastating. And the reason I brought up choices is it comes from Romans chapter 6, verse 13. It basically says, paraphrasing because I don't have my Bible in front of me, that do not give yourself over to sin. We died to it. Why would we live it any longer? And this is all broad chapter 6, really, when he's talking about this. And then he goes into chapter 7 and talking about how sin controls us and if we let it. Mm-hmm. But the thing that I'm getting at is we really have a choice when it comes to sin. I've heard people say, the devil made me do it.
Yeah. That's a familiar one.
That's not the case.
No.
The devil has no power to make you sin. He can entice you. He can tempt you. But he does not make you sin. Mm-mm. You make the choice to sin.
That's right.
It is our choice. And if it's our choice to sin, we can choose not to sin. And I'll tell you what, the first time I heard that, actually I read it somewhere, when I first read that, it changed my life. Because I was one of those people, I didn't say the devil made me do it, but we're all sinners, and Romans 3:23, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. I'm one of those all. I accept the fact that I sin, and I would just keep on doing it.
Yep. Yeah, kind of write it off.
Right. Mm-hmm. I'm human.
Yep.
That's the way God made me. But I read in a book, it's been a while, but I read in this book, and it said, you make the choice, and you can choose not to sin. And boy, that changed my life. Mm-hmm. And not only that, but when we make that choice to not sin, there's something in James, I think it's James chapter 5, it says, flee from the devil, or resist the devil and he will flee from you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That is so true too.
It is.
And those two kind of go together. So when you choose not to sin and you resist the enemy, you find freedom.
Yep, exactly.
Am I right?
You really do. You really do. There is a lot of freedom in that. And what we don't grab oftentimes in our spiritual lives is that we have the power to choose not to do things.
Yeah.
And we have the power to choose to do things. So it's also, if we look at patience as an example.
Okay.
A lot of people go, well, man, I'm just not patient. So they just throw themselves out and reserve themselves to the fact that they're impatient. Mm-hmm. But they choose impatience. Mm-hmm. I choose impatience. Right? Just make it personal. Right. I choose impatience versus the patience. Just like we can choose not to sin as much as we choose to sin.
And it's not just sin.
No, exactly. That's part where I really feel like our conversation is going to be going tonight. Yeah. Is you may start here, as far as choices are concerned, it may start here with sin and understanding that we choose to sin, we can choose not to sin. We're empowered to choose not to sin.
Right.
Just like we are empowered to choose to practice patience.
Right. Exactly.
But there's other choices that are coming. And I believe that, and I know we'll get into this, Phil, but I do believe that part of that has to do with some of your opening statements in that there's something great coming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I was kind of leading into that. So yeah.
So yeah, I do the power of choice that we all have, that the Holy Spirit that lives within us enables us to enact on, is going to reveal a lot in these coming days for each one of us.
I believe it. And then we have a choice on whether to accept it or not accept it.
Exactly.
Believe it or not believe it. And then what to do with it.
Right.
And
right.
If we submit to God, which is another thing that Paul talks about in Romans, by the way, is when you submit yourself to God, renewing of your mind, all these concepts come from Romans.
That's right.
We don't have to worry about making the wrong choice.
No.
It will come naturally.
And that throws a wrench in a lot of people's thinking.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me, I've heard this 1,000 times, you mean to tell me that when I start thinking along those lines that all of my struggles are going to fade? And not that all of them are going to fade.
No.
But is it going to become more natural for me to do the things and choose the things that are of the Lord?
Yeah.
Exactly. The answer is yes.
Yes, absolutely. Let me give you an example from my personal experience. The first time I met you, one of the first things, our first conversation, which we talked about last week, at Denny's, I said that I was suffering from anxiety, okay? And you're just like, okay. I was waiting for you to, I can help you with that, and you don't have to suffer. I was actually expecting that from you, okay? Didn't get it, and I thought, okay. He let that go. And that's another story, because that just shows your character and how amazing you really are. But what I realized in that was I was choosing to allow the anxiety to affect me, okay? Yeah. And now that I choose not to, the enemy will still throw things at me, okay?
Yes.
But it is easier for me to not choose that now that I know I have the choice.
Is the impact that our choices have in our surroundings.
Yes.
So, here I can get all anxious and upset and frustrated, and then before you know it, my house is just in an uproar. That never ends well.
No, it doesn't.
No, I may try it again because for some reason I might think the result might be different. But when you realize that, and we stop, just like what you're talking about, just when you stop and you stand in your authority that you've been given through the power of Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit that lives in you, and you stand in that, then the ripple effect that goes from that is positive.
Yeah.
Because people then don't see you losing it. They see your peace. And that passes all understanding. And then that becomes an invitation for people to come understand, why are you different?
Right.
And it's really a neat thing. It's its own invitation into who God is, and a life that people at points really are searching for.
Right. And that's why I wanted to bring that up tonight.
It's a great example.
Because I know there are people who are struggling like I did. And I I don't anymore. I had to stop and think about it for a minute. Can I really say that I don't anymore? I don't. I don't
That's
suffer
awesome.
from it anymore because I recognize it like I
Yeah.
did there that one time. I recognized it. I stopped it right away. And it was an enemy attack that brought on that, just there was several things could have happened that day. I don't even remember what was happening, but several things could have set me up so that I was
Right.
weakened
Yeah.
for that attack. Just like, if you get the flu, for example, your body, if your immune system's down, the virus comes in, it latches on because you're weakened.
That's right.
The enemy weakens you with your circumstances. They jump on and they say, let's see if we can grab hold and make a difference in this person's life. A negative difference,
Right.
but that's how they do it.
It is.
But they don't have the authority to do that. They don't want us to know that they don't have the authority to do that.
Not at all.
But we can choose to fight against them.
We can. And we have the right to.
And we have the right to, right.
And that's another thing that for me had to settle in my heart. I had to believe it. That I do have the right to stand up against these things. That the cycle of life that I had allowed myself to be in, the process, the thinking process, and the thinking cycle that I was in, it had to be challenged, and seeing things for what they are, seeing things for the attacks that they are, and then understanding how I'm seen by the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords as set apart, set aside, empowered to fight this battle.
Wow.
And when we see those things, then and believe what we are, then we have that much more power in taking that first step to come against the enemy and go, no, you're not allowed here.
Right.
So,
And I love how you said that. What we are. Not what we will be or what we have been. It's what we are right now.
That's right.
In Christ Jesus, we are all these things right now.
Yeah, and the Bible talks about we are overcomers. We are victors.
Right.
We are those things, and we really need to step into these fights. Whether you think you're going to make it through or not, it can't be any worse than giving in at the beginning.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. You're absolutely
it really
right.
can't. It can't get any worse than that. So step into it and give God room to be.
Yes.
And then watch these victories. And then you get these victories under your belt and you're just like,
Yeah.
man, I think I got something.
That's right.
And you know what you do? You do have something
You do.
here. And then we're more prone to take on the fights because God has already set us up for victory.
Right. Yeah, it's just like if you've ever lifted weights, when you first do it, you may be weak, but as you do it, your muscles get stronger.
Yeah.
And the more you
That's
stand up to it, the stronger you get, the more your faith builds in knowing
Yes, that's
that
right.
God's going to
exactly
do this
right.
for me. God does love me. God is going to fight for me. And God has given me the power and the authority.
Yes.
We just know. But it all starts with a choice.
It does. As soon as the attack starts, and people go, well, you know what? It's a knee-jerk reaction. I don't even think about it. It's an automatic. It's this.
Right.
And that's where we just, you step aside and you're asking the Lord to show me the fight.
Right.
Show me. And there will come a point in time, as soon as that anxiety hits or that temptation comes across your path, you're going to go, you know what? Hold on. And in that moment, there's your choice.
That's right. And, I've heard people say, well, it's the people I hang around with. And I'm not going to tell you to not hang around with those people.
Yeah.
They could be your family. That's a cop-out. It's still a choice.
It is.
You can still have the same friends, the same family, and choose not to be a part of what they're involved in.
Yes.
And you might make a difference for them.
And it
by
doesn't matter.
choosing against it.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
the ripple effect, like you said.
Exactly. And it doesn't matter, too. Let's say we don't make the right choice. And I can't tell you how many stories that I've... Yeah, right.
Put me in line first.
I know, but how many times? How many times have we done that? And we don't make the right choice on the outset. And so then we start down this path, and all of a sudden you feel the snowball just building, and you're picking up speed as you're going down the hill. You know what? God can stop that too.
Yeah, He can.
And it doesn't matter where you are in your process. Just call upon the name of the Lord, and you will be saved.
Right. Absolutely.
Simple.
That's
It
simple.
will stop at any point.
Absolutely. And, you know, when we first started out tonight talking about greater things are coming,
Yeah.
I just happened to wonder how many people think that we're talking about miraculous, large things. Yes, but
Good point.
But I'm also talking about the simple little making the choice to not give in to
Oh,
anything. The simple choice of accepting or
that's good.
being patient.
That's
the
good.
simple choice of loving. The simple choice of being kind.
Yes.
Being joyful in all situations. Those are the miraculous things, more so than the healings and the...
You know, I think so too.
You know-
I think, the changing of the voice tone.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And people notice it.
They do. They really do.
Yeah.
And it really just builds steam, and it further stokes that fanning that ember into a flame.
Yeah.
Is what it does, and it really does. It changes us and those around us on so many levels, and that miracle that takes place. I think we're very wrong to categorize them as small and great.
I agree.
And
Yeah. And I shouldn't have said it that way, but
no, I just think no matter what happens, it has God's fingerprints on it.
absolutely.
And out of that comes a heart of thanksgiving and rejoicing and worship. And that makes the angels of heaven sing.
Oh, absolutely. And, we've been talking about revival,
Yes.
okay, for a long time.
Yes,
For a revival to begin, it begins in a person's heart.
it does.
And then, just like this virus, it started out in China, okay? And now it's worldwide. A revival can start with one person
It can.
and end up being the greatest awakening.
Yes. And I think
we're
I don't
seeing it.
think,
I know.
we're seeing this.
Yeah.
And we're watching God's Spirit move through and fan things, hearts, actions, into a flame that is impacting people around us. And the things that the Lord is allowing you to do, Phil, and be involved with, and in that reach that He's allowing you to have and to impact all of these lives, it's astounding, and it's extraordinary, and it is beyond fun to watch. And the Lord allows me to do a few things on this side, and I know that there's others. There's many of you that the Lord is using you to do things, and it's great for us to watch those things, and we just love it, and we get so encouraged by watching those things. But as I handle things in the world that God's given me, and you handle things in the world God has given to you, and you handle the things that God's given you in your worlds, these circles and these worlds are going to intersect, and up out of that is rising the revival that God is bringing.
Yeah. We got to be careful. It's not going to be at least I think, and tell me if I'm wrong, it's not going to be, we're going to be able to say this day, this is when it started, this is where it started, this is how it started. It's going to be it's already started. It's already here. And we'll eventually, just like in the book of John, when John says, when we look back, we saw the things that He had done, and now we understand after the resurrection, after the ascension.
Yes. That's good.
But we're going to look back someday, and we're going to say, oh, now I see what Phil and Ian were talking about. And it was really happening then. People may not see it now, but it is here. And we will see it in a much larger scale as time goes on.
I do. I agree. I think that there are going to be things personally that individually we would be able to look at and go, well, this is when it started for me.
Yes.
But if I look at it individually, I can say, okay, this is where I entered the flow.
Yeah.
If we look at this revival as this moving river, then we could say, okay, this is where I was invited in. This is where I jumped into the river. At this point. The other thing too is that it's the church that is being revived. It's not a one-man show.
Absolutely.
It's not going to be, though the Lord has set aside people to speak to the crowds, to be used in such a fashion.
Right.
It's not about one person brought a revival.
Right.
And it's really about watching God do his thing through his church, through his bride.
Yeah.
It really is.
It is.
And we all have different roles.
We do.
In it all.
Absolutely. And there's no role that is insignificant.
No. Oh, my gracious.
And there's no role that is greater than another. Your role is not greater than mine. Mine's not greater than yours, nor greater than anybody watching us.
That's right.
We are all on the same page here, according to
Yes.
God. That's the way he works.
Exactly.
And that is a lie of the enemy. You're not significant enough to make a difference.
That's right.
Who gave them the right to say that?
Right.
They're liars. They're liars.
That's right.
And when you resist them, resist the devil and he will flee from you.
That's good. That's good.
And regarding choices, if you resist God, he won't flee from you, but he won't force you.
No.
So it really does come back to choice.
It does.
It really
does.
So if you're hearing God right now saying, and maybe you're sitting there saying, I have heard this for a couple of days, and I don't know what it means. Maybe you're going to start a show like this. Maybe you're going to stand up in church and sing.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll go talk to that neighbor that God's been saying, go talk to the neighbor,
Right.
go talk to the neighbor.
Right.
Or, like what happened to me years ago, put $20 in the neighbor's mailbox, and I didn't do it. And I wish I would have. But anyways.
I know. I'm only
I
laughing.
know, because you've been there, right?
Yes.
But when you feel those nudges, you have a choice.
Yes.
And if you resist God, he will either wait for you to accept, or he'll find someone else. But his will be done.
That's right.
And when
That's
you
right.
are obedient to that, and you make that choice, and you're obedient to God, and you submit to God, it's going to build you up. It's going to build your faith. God's not going to just say, attaboy. He's going to bless you for that.
Yes, he will.
And I'm not talking prosperity doctrine here.
No.
I mean, sometimes blessings are those feelings you get
That's right.
that I did something good for God.
That's right.
You
That's
know,
right. And he will bless you.
Absolutely.
It's a promise.
Yeah.
It's a promise.
Yeah, in Deuteronomy, he made promises that if you obey, these things will happen. If you disobey, then these things will happen. And I know that, we're not under the penalty of the law anymore, so I'm not trying to bring that back.
No,
but,
I know. Yeah, right.
but what I'm saying is, his grace will say, okay, I'm not going to force you, and I'm not going to, open up the ground and let you be swallowed like Korah was. But,
Right.
but at the same time, you're not going to get that blessing
No.
if you don't
It
make the
is,
right
it's
choice.
just such a wonderful opportunity to be involved with what God's doing, and we've talked about this a million times, but we really get to do this.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
really do. We really get to be a part of what God's doing, and to be blessed by Him, but also to be a blessing.
Yeah.
And it's exciting. It's an exciting thing to be a part of.
It is. And I believe that there's an acceleration going on too. If I look back at my life and I look at how I came from starting out as a pastor in 1999 to where I am now, and that's been 21 years now, I guess, or almost 21 years. I'm not saying you have to wait 21 years. If we could measure our levels of our walk with God, and you're just like me in 1999, you don't have to wait 21 years. It might be 6 months, it might be a year, it might be tomorrow. God can do that.
Yep.
So don't feel like, well, I'm never going to be at the level of these two guys. I'm never going to be at his level. He says he'll never be at my level. Okay? You know what I mean? It's not about levels.
No.
It's
it
not
is
about
not.
levels. I'm trying to get that point across.
It is
We are
not.
all the same. And it's whether we choose
That's right.
to follow God at that time. That's why I said it could be 6 minutes or it could be 6
Yeah.
months. It's how quickly you choose to start following God and what he's leading you to do.
That's right.
And the more I chose to follow God and submit to God, the more it accelerated in my life.
Exactly.
Excuse me.
It really
if I look back over the last 20 years, there's been a great acceleration over the last 3 years because of the choices that I've made. And,
Same here.
excuse me,
Same here.
I do not have COVID, I promise you. It's just dry air. So make the choice.
It is. Yeah, we have an opportunity. You have an opportunity to make the choice, to surrender, to choose not to be anxious, worried,
Right.
fearful. You fill in the blank.
Right. Yeah, whatever is affecting you.
Exactly. However the enemy is attacking you, and
Right.
however he's trying to keep you out of the game, out of what God is doing, keeping you off the course of the direction that God's taking you. Choose against that. You have every right as a believer, as a son and daughter of the Most High, to stand against those things. And like the Bible says, the devil will flee from you.
Yeah.
He will, and it will open up the pathway. It will open up the door for you to step into what God is leading you into.
Absolutely. And you'll be amazed at what God is leading you into.
Yeah.
If you'd have told me 3 years ago, Phil, you're going to be sitting behind a table we're coming up on 100 episodes now, by the way,
Oh my gracious.
for At the Table. If
That's
you would have
awesome.
told me that, I would have said, yeah, right, I'm not getting in front of a camera. And if you look at the first episode ever, you'll see why I said that. I was like very stoic. But now I'm more comfortable with it because I knew God was telling me to do this. I've said the story many times, woke me up at 3 o'clock in the morning, told me all the details. Here we are.
That's awesome.
It could be you, or it could be
That's right.
something else. Don't ever say, well, I was about to say, I will never stand up in church and sing. Well, I'm not going to say that, because if God wants me to stand up and sing, cover your ears, but I'll do it, okay? Okay,
That's right.
I'll do it.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm not going to pretend to be a good singer, but I'll do it.
That's right.
Because who knows how it might bless somebody
Exactly.
by making that choice to be obedient to God.
That's
You just
exactly
don't know.
right.
It's not about me. It's about what God's leading us to do. It's not about us. It's about what he's leading us to do so that we can bless others.
That's right. That's right.
It's really all this is all about.
It really is.
I don't mean to make it so simple, but it's simple.
It is. It's very simple. It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. Awesome.
So we got about 4 or 5 minutes left.
Okay.
Anything else you want to talk about tonight?
There is so
much. You know what that
but
means?
there really is.
I think we might see him again sometime.
There really is so many things. But the power of choice, just to reiterate that, it releases, and you connected freedom to that.
Yeah.
And that is so true. But it's freedom. It's freedom in who you are and who God created you to be, in your purpose, in your design. It's freedom to step into that which God has for each one of us to do. But in that, and there again, you tied into the acceleration as well, Phil. Time is short. Mm-hmm. Time is short.
It is.
And we
It
all
is.
know that.
Yeah.
And in our submission and our surrender, in our choice to follow the Lord, things will move quickly. Acceleration, time is short. Revival is in play.
Yeah.
And we get to be a part of it. And so even if, like Phil said, if there's one thing that the Lord has put on your heart to do, don't look at it as great or small or too much or too little or anything like that. Just look at it as an opportunity that you get to be obedient and do something with and for the Lord himself, and step into those things with a smile on your heart and a confidence in your heart and mind that God has called you to do this and empowered you to do this, and step up and do it and enjoy it.
Absolutely. Enjoy it.
Exactly. It really is. It's there's a joy about doing things with the Lord and doing those things for him, and it further encourages us and moves us, pushes us forward into oh man, what's next? And so there's this excitement that builds in your heart about, man, what is he going to ask me to do today? What am I going to get to be involved with?
Right.
And you get to you really do, you get to enjoy it, and that brings fellowship.
Right.
that brings connectivity within the body, and that takes this bride that's in a little bit of a rough shape right now, and starts healing those things that need to be healed, and bringing the body together, and strength in numbers. One can put 1,000 to flight, two can put 10,000 to flight.
Right.
Then the prayers begin, and then it all begins to function, and it all begins to work. And just our one step, our one choice of obedience ignites a wildfire. And it's neat to be a part of that. It really is.
It is. And you know, you touched on a couple of things there, and while you're talking, I'm thinking, yeah, we can talk about that. Yeah, you know, we could talk for hours. We could go on and on. But one thing I do want to, and I probably will talk about this again sometime at the table, is the brokenness of the bride.
Yeah.
Because in churches, there's fewer people coming to church, okay? And that doesn't mean that those people aren't Christians.
That's right.
They're just not coming to church, okay, for whatever reason, and we're not going to get into that. But there's also, people are disgruntled. We've got issues, political issues involving the church. We got all kinds of things that are just tearing the fellowship apart.
That's right.
And you don't have to be in a church building to be a part of the fellowship.
That's right.
You know?
The last several months.
Yeah, the last several months, right, exactly. I think we've been closer.
Yes.
But further apart. So, yeah, maybe we'll talk about that sometime. But
I think it'd be good.
But,
That'd be good.
Yeah, can I have you come back on again sometime?
Sure.
All
I'm
right.
open next January.
Next January. Let's hope it's a little sooner than that. Well, I'll put you on the calendar, though, okay?
That's awesome. I'm so thankful for what the Lord's doing through this, through at the table.
Well, you know what?
I really am. I really am.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm very thankful, too. I never dreamed that it would be what it is, and it's just, I'm glad that it is what it is.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to continue to follow God's lead in wherever it goes. But, you mentioned January. You have been on at least one episode of every season so far. We're in season 3, and you were on season 1 a couple of times. Season 2, a couple of times, and we still got a few episodes left, so maybe we'll get you on a couple of times before the end of season 3.
That's awesome. I love it.
All right? Well, hey, thanks a lot.
Yeah, I love it, Phil. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you all for joining us tonight. I hope you enjoyed the show, and we will see you again next week. And just before I go, I want to remind you, if you happen to see, this is Wednesday now, but if you happen to see yesterday, Bible time is now on twice a week, Tuesdays and Saturdays at 9 a.m. I'm really enjoying that, so keep sending questions in to me. I love.
That's awesome.
I'm not going to tell you not to send me the tough ones, but if you want to
send the tough ones.
Yeah, of course he would say that. But greater things are coming.
Yes.
Give me some feedback. I'd love to hear from you. I hope you're enjoying the show. Let me know if there's anything you want to see different. You want to see him take over my chair? That'd be fine too. We'll let him take over. No, you're not going to do that? Just let me know. Thank you for joining tonight. You've been great, and I'll see you again next week. Good night. And that's all recorded too.
Oh, that does look good. Awesome.
Anyway, you just want to follow my lead?
Yep.
Okay.